I've always been a huge advocate for calisthenics and bodyweight training, but due to some changes to work environments, I had to switch up my program when I joined the gym. Here's what happened. The first thing I want to talk about is how I switched up my training and programming from calisthenics to free weights and machines. The format and structure of my training followed the same principles and techniques as my calisthenics program. I still followed the push-pull legs routine religiously. In regards to exercise swaps, I made sure I switch appropriately. For example, if I normally did weighted push-ups, I'd switch this to any form of free weighted chest press exercise, whether that was bench press with a barbell, dumbbell, or even the form of pressing machines. If it was pull-ups, routinely I would swap to lateral pull-downs, etc. You get the point. However, the main exercises that remained as a staple of my training were pull-ups and dips. In terms of sets, reps, and rest, everything was the same. But for anyone that isn't familiar with my programming, I tend to do either 3 to 4 sets on exercises. For reps, I'd stick with the basic 5 to 15, and for rest, depending on the RPE, I'd rest anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes on something that I would consider moderate weight, and 3 to 5 minutes with heavier sets. Now, the biggest transition of this whole experience was leg training. This would have been the first time I've ever handled heavy loads with my leg workouts, and I gotta say, it's been both an awful and amazing experience. Awful in the sense that my leg training became even more nauseating and vomit-inducing, but amazing in the sense that my leg growth has been exponential. Since I have certain physical implications that hinder me from free barbell squatting, I had to mostly rely on dumbbell and machine exercises. But it didn't really matter what exercises I did, because at the end of the day, my fundamental guidelines for my programming have always been the same. As Greg Doucette would say, train harder than last time. I don't remember a single leg workout, or even regular workout for that matter, that I didn't feel like passing out and vomiting. So the experience for legs in the gym, conclusively, I can't complain. Now let's go over what I aim for volume-wise. Fundamentally, I've always followed the literature that said training each body part about 10 to 20 sets was optimal, so I made sure to do just that. And when I say each body part, I really mean it. Even calves. I would make sure I trained 3 hard sets of calves before I did any type of training, whether it was push or a pull day, it didn't matter. I never really was a fan of doing 6 or more sets of calves on normal leg days, so I made it a rule that I still follow to this day to do calves 5 times a week before I work out. And if I happen to miss a day for whatever reason, then it would definitely mean I'd have to hit calves either harder next time or on my second leg workout. As for the total sets of every other body part, I'm going to show you guys the entire 1 week program that I followed religiously, so you can do the math yourself when we get up to there. Now, the ultimate question, considering I follow the same guidelines, techniques, and principles as I did with calisthenics, did my physique change? Absolutely, and it changed for the better. My physique is definitely more sculpted out in the areas that I needed more work on. This includes mostly my upper chest, shoulders, and legs, so I ultimately still made progress even though I was a complete gym noob. Plus, since the carryover effect from calisthenics to weight training is quite substantial, I was lifting a decent amount of weight in my training as well, so it was fun. But would I have made the same progress if I continued to do calisthenics? I confidently believe so. Maybe not so much in my weak areas like my upper chest, shoulders, and legs, but I don't think those areas would have been too far behind. And that's because the general rules of my training and my programming have always followed the same guidelines. In simple terms, train hard but effective no matter what. I still personally enjoy calisthenics a bit more because of the fun and freestyle factor, and also because it's like home to me. But weight training is definitely no joke. I have nothing bad to say about the gym experience. I didn't have any weird or bad encounters with other members or the staff. I mean, it is a professional and civil environment, so I wouldn't expect any less. The only annoying thing was training when the gym was super crowded, which meant I either had to wait for a machine to be vacant, but in most cases I just ended up changing the exercises anyway. Now for the part that everyone's been waiting for, here is the 1 week program that I used. It's very simple, and simplicity is key in this case. Do compounds, do isolations if you need to, throw in some bodyweight exercises, and you're basically good. And honestly, if you can handle it mentally, and by that I mean follow the same 6 workouts every week, I have no doubt that any of you guys will progress the same way that I did, more or less. But considering this is my 10th year working out, 7th year realistically, results will obviously vary. If you're a beginner, adapt appropriately, and if you've been in the game long, make it even more difficult. Of course, there are some unwritten rules in this program that I usually freeball when I train. For example, sometimes I'll do an extra set of something, or maybe even 1 less set of something, throw in some drop sets or myo sets, it all depends. The main message I want to push out in this video is that it really doesn't matter what type of training you decide to do. As long as you have a robust system and follow a set rule of guidelines in your program, you'll grow. And that's what I've always done in my training. That's allowed me to make incremental growth both in my physique, strength levels, and also mentality. If you don't want to sign up to a gym, you don't don't have to. If you don't want to do calisthenics, don't. Do what you're able to do consistently, and along the way, it'll just be a part of your lifestyle, as it should.